Well, I think we've done it. We've launched another program.
That's
It's
good.
time for the Guy Cook Report. Where's the time go?
What episode are we on now? 110?
At least, maybe more. I'd have to look. I think we're at 114 or 15 or something like that. I have to know. I don't have that in front of me. The show today, though, I do have in front of me, and being it's Tuesday, as tradition, we talk about SEO tips on Tuesday, and most of the SEO tips today are from this guy. The adventures in the internet yesterday consisted of explaining anchor text, open graph tags, and how the title of the site, and I use the analogy of the title of the book, like it's as if in a library, that if you have the wrong title on your spine, on your book edge, when you're in the library shelf, people won't find you. If it just says home, and they're going down the shelves in the library, well, there's a book called Home. Well, that's not the one I want. I want the Guy Cook Report. So it needs to have the title be consistent and the open graph tag be consistent, the Twitter card be consistent, everything that relates to the homepage title, whether it's the anchor text or blog post or whatever, references your content, has to be the same. Must be. And a good thing to check is the tag for that page. If you go into the view source, you'll see a container tag that says title. It'll have a less than, a greater than, title, and then a container. And that title is the brand. That's the name of that page, that content reference. So make sure that that's straight. Make sure it doesn't say just home. I saw one of those yesterday. And as always, item number 2 in the show notes. And our show notes, as always, are available on the GuyerCookReport.podbean.com link. And they're provided for you free of charge, as everything else is. The second thing in the agenda, the notes today, is simply this. If it isn't tested, it doesn't work. Check your content works in mobile, and the desktop, in multiple browsers. Make sure the tablet layout is what it should be. And a responsive layout or framework these days is a have-to-have type of thing. You no longer do it for the novelty. Oh, look what I can do. I can make this work on the BlackBerry phone. Well, the day when the BlackBerry phone was the bomb, those days are gone. Okay, so make sure your content is responsive and it works proper and correct. And if it doesn't, go to your developer, or if you're doing it yourself, find out what it takes to get it right. And then the third thing, and this isn't really SEO, but kind of related, is make a test of your backup system. Now, sure, you've got a system in place that backs up the database and the content of your WordPress site, for instance. But have you ever thrown it in the pond and see if it'll restore? Because if it doesn't restore, it's not a valid backup, a working, consistent with the goals of your objectives and so forth, to have it be right. Make sure that it will wave when you run it up the pole. Otherwise, you don't have a backup. So, that being said, let's go to our straight to our shout-outs. Because I scrolled down the show notes so I can. We better give a shout-out to the company that likes to clean. Edinburgh, Scotland's very own Edinburgh Dusters. Hence the name Edinburgh Dusters. Remember what we were saying about titles a minute ago? Okay, so if you're on a web page and you say Edinburgh Dusters, well, hey, that's the right title. That's the name of the company. If you go, that cleaning company that belongs to Fraser Ramsey, we can't remember the name. Well, that might be a more difficult search. So let's keep the title straight. I give a shout out too in the show notes to Alba Digital Media. Give them a call. They're a web hosting provider and consulting. Ask questions about your webpage. If you want to get your titles rewrite, he'd be a good person to ask. His name is Kevin Scullion, and he probably really appreciates this shout out. And oh, I got the wrong notes in here. I'll have to edit the show notes. It says thanks to Blab in the show notes, and that's going to be edited. The correct word is going to say thanks to Huzza. We're on Huzza.io. They make this interface available, and then we use a really good screen recorder, Screencast-O-Matic, and that records the show. And there we have it. Thanks to Friends Just Chatting, that's also on Blab every weekday morning. That fellow next to me runs that show. I point like this. Yep. And his efforts make for a great place to hang out. It's an adult situation, not adult content. It's mature content. Thanks for listening on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, the Guy Cook Report is available on Bitly. If you go to bit.ly/VDH YouTube, like it says in the show notes, you'll get the archive of all the shows on YouTube, including this one. Thanks to the podcast audio hosts that we have on Spreaker, on Stitcher, a number of them. And now here's the question, the 24-hour question. Which one did Microsoft just buy? You know.
Could it be LinkedIn?
Exactly right. Content provider LinkedIn was a cash deal. I forget for how many million or billion or whatever it was.
20. I think I read $26 million.
Yeah.
But
big chunk of change to make a cash purchase. And the CEO of LinkedIn is going to keep his job. He reports to Microsoft now. That's going to be a change in his email address book. And so, if you go to the show notes, which will be updated and corrected, there's an evaluation question. Please give that a go. The RSS feed is in there for the Guy Cook Report if you want to get it straight from the blog. It's a WordPress-powered blog that contains the show notes. You can get it there. And invite you to be a patron of the Guy Cook Report. And follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. I think I've done it, Kev.
I think yeah. That's another show done.
You'd think that after 100 or so shows, I wouldn't have to ask you, did I forget anything? But now out of habit, I find myself, did I forget anything? No, I don't think I did. Pat myself on the back, and then we'll give ourselves that phrase that pays, the end of the show, where we say, it's a wrap. And I go over here and make it a wrap.